with either Kitchen Finks or Murderous Red Cap, and then you use something like the Saraseer.
Cheap sack outlet.
Yeah, anything where you can just sacrifice it over and over. And with the Kitchen Finks, this allows you to gain infinite life.
Yeah.
So you continually sacrificing the
And find your Murderous Red Cap for next turn if you need it.
Exactly, because
you fix your whole deck,
your entire library. And if you have a Murderous Red Cap, obviously
you just win the game right there.
You win the game. Your opponent dies. Unless, of course, they have something like a Ley Line of Sanctity. And then you need to get creative.
You're a birthing pod deck, so it's pretty easy to get creative.
Very true. And also, when you're scrying through your entire deck, it's very easy to get creative.
Yeah.
These decks have access to something like a 1 of Harmonic Sliver. So,
looks like we're about to start right here.
Oh, so it looks like the initial pairing we were given was wrong. Tom Ma's going to mulligan here. Looks like he's playing a blue-red deck. I wonder if this is Storm or a...
or Splinter Twin.
Or Splinter Twin deck.
Gunther kept before we switched over to the match, so we didn't get a really peek at his hand.
So, now this is Gunter Versal against Tom Ma. And if I'm mispronouncing this, I apologize.
Tom Ma, he top forward. Which Pro Tour was that?
Last year.
Yeah, a Pro Tour last year. What was it? I can't remember the name of that Pro Tour. But he's been doing putting up decent results. I haven't seen him anything as good as his top 8, of course, but still a strong player.
Top 8's hard to
to top that.
Hard to top.
You got to win one though.
All right, so
yeah, the Gunther might not be Gunther.
Oh, so this is actually Ethan Poellinger.
All right.
So.
There's Thompson. So it looks like it's a Storm combo. There's Desperate Ritual in there and a bunch of land. Not a very strong hand on his end.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Ma is playing a type of deck where you really don't want to draw more than 2 land in your opener. You have enough cantripping action where you should normally hit your land drops without a problem, but...
And also, it's a deck you can't mulligan too much with, because you need cards. You need lots of cards to actually go off.
The Storm combo is largely dependent on you having a full grip. So, if you only have access to 5 spells, it makes it significantly more difficult than if you had access to 6 or 7.
And Dark Confidant.
Dark Confidant, one of the strongest creatures available in this format, but it surprisingly has not seen that much play.
Yeah, Jund is really the only deck that's been able to put it in it.
Alright, so we have a Dark Confidant trigger. And Ethan's going to reveal a Lightning Bolt. That's going to put him down to 17 here. And he gets a Bloodbraid Elf for his draw step.
Deck stacked pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, seems pretty nice. Ethan's going to fall to 15 here by playing the Stomping Grounds untapped. And 15 is actually a pretty key number here, because now, even though Tom Ma took this mulligan, he's going to be able to storm Ethan out much more easily than if... Ooh, but a Kitchen Finks.
But a Kitchen Finks will change that.
We'll change that and put Ethan back to 17.
There's Tom. He's got a sack that's calling time, trying to improve his draw there. You check out that scarf that Tom has. It's a pretty nifty scarf.
Ooh, that is a very nice scarf. Maybe I'll ask if I can borrow that scarf for coverage later. Now, something interesting, again, if Tom Ma is playing Pyromancer Swath in his deck, then Ethan's life in increments of 3.
Yeah.
That becomes very important. So 18 being a big number to get your opponent down to, or, then 15 and then 12. And with all the, Ravnica Shocklands that Ethan's deck has to play.
It's very reasonable. He'll be down there.
It's very reasonable, especially with a Confidant on the board.
Now, it looked like Tom drew a Desperate Ravings for his turn. I believe it was. He shuffled it up, but I think that was what he drew for his turn. It will definitely be helpful for him to come back from this mulligan he started off with.
Yeah, now Desperate Ravings is one of the cards that's very powerful from the newer block. Innistrad gave us this card that just works wonders in this Storm archetype. And the deck list that John Finkel posted this week actually had Desperate Ravings in it, in case anyone was wondering.
So he's playing Desperate Ravings, Faithless Looting. That deck just sounds fun. There's Desperate Ravings I saw earlier. He draws a Serum Visions and a Githaxian Probe. And one will randomly go away.
Guess we'll have to see what happens here. Now, with 7 cards, I think Tom's just going to let Ethan choose one. Yeah.
All right.
And Tom's going to go ahead and discard a Past in Flames.
All right.
Not too bad. The spell is flashback, so shouldn't affect Tom that much.
Not knowing his hand exactly, that might be the card that Tom wanted to get picked out.
I would not be surprised. All right, and it looks like Tom, if he wants to this turn, can make a lot of goblins.
All right, it looks like he might be going for that. But making a lot of goblins isn't really the best thing to do, especially with things like Maelstrom Pulse.
Ooh, and now that he knows that Ethan has that Maelstrom Pulse in hand, it's going to make that play a lot worse for Tom. Tom's also going to have to be careful here. He just took 2 damage from this Traxian Probe. So now Tom knows that he has to go off and win this turn, or he's going to lose the game.
Yeah, the double bolt plus the 5 damage right there, and the Treetop Village easily dead. So Tom just has to go for it.
Yeah, if Tom doesn't win this turn, it's over.
So he drew a Scalding Turn.
Meanwhile, while going off, Tom has to be careful not to go to 6 life or less, because Ethan does have access to double bolt in hand and could just kill Tom if Tom were to use 2 more Gitaxian Probes without paying the mana for them.
Okay, so he's Serum Visions, and now he's looking at a Gitaxian Probe, and I'm not sure what the other card was in there. It looked like it was red.
a Pyretic Ritual.
Okay.
So I think he's probably thinking about whether or not he can afford to take the 2 damage from the Gitaxian Probe, because he's going to have to Past in Flames and recast them. And if he takes the 2 from this Gitaxian Probe, then he's not going to be able to flashback either one off the Past in Flames when he goes for that. So he'll probably end up leaving the Pyretic Ritual on the top of his library and putting the Gitaxian Probe on the bottom.
All right, so I think he does exactly what you say.
Yeah, so I think that's the best play for Tom to make in that spot.
We're up to 2 spells this turn.
Tom hasn't played his land for turn yet, so we can expect the Sulphur Falls to come down. Ooh, and a Pyretic Ritual, so he decides to leave at that. And he has 3 red mana in pool.
And 3 spells played this turn.
All right, and a Seething Song is going to make that 5 mana in pool.
And Tom really just... All right.
6.
Let's see what Tom's playing here. He just can't play the
Empty the Warrens will not be very good here. All right, so...
That's 7.
7.
All right, so... He can flashback Desperate Ravens, but what card does he want in his deck?
He wants to hit a Grave Shot here, but I think what he's first going to do is he's going to flashback the Past in Flames that's in his graveyard, and then he can Gitaxian Probe and Metamorphose and try to get a little deeper into his library. So
here goes the Past in
Flames.
Flames.
To 1 blue and 1 red mana in pool. And
a couple of the 2 mana rituals now.
Yeah, now he's going to use the Pyretic Ritual. Then a Seething Song. A Metamorphose is going to put him at 3 red mana and 2 blue mana, and he's going to get to draw another card. Now he's really hoping in this spot to hit
the Grape Shot?
Shot, but he finds a Shivan Reef. Not going to be very good here.
So Serum Visions
Serum Visions will put him down to 4 mana in pool. And he draws Desperate Ravings.
And 2 cards he doesn't really want. It's a Ritual and Empty the Warrens.
Yeah, he's going to have to put both those on the bottom of his library here. And he does just that. Tom Moss still has not played his land for the turn yet.
Let's see.
He can flashback this Desperate Ravings for just 2 mana.
One, two. We get a bit. Past in Flames and Githaxian Probe.
Yep.
Six.
And
Yep, gets a
Thomas
Shivan Wraith.
discard the Shivan Wraith. Do we know what he drew off that? Was it?
It was Past in Flames and Githaxian Probe off the Disparate Ritual. And there's a Grape Shot. There you go.
And he found the Grape Shot. So, I mean, he has a lot of Storm now. Ethan's at 14.
And Past in Flames, how does it read? Is it only the cards that were currently in your graveyard when you cast it? Or is it your whole turn?
Oh, it's your whole turn.
So he could kill him, probably.
Yes.
Getting close to killing him.
Just going to use both of those.
Okay, as long as Tom doesn't accidentally use that Githaxian Probe.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I thought I saw a Grape Shot, didn't you?
I thought I saw a Grape Shot, too. This, maybe he just needs the Storm. It's a little dangerous here, though. Oh, but he has the Past in Flames, so you can just flash it back.
Are we, does he have enough ramp spells still? Alright. So we hit a Githaxian Probe that couldn't be used anyways. And Grape Shot.
And that's plenty. Yeah, you cast all of those plus flash back, so plenty of damage for Tom Ma there.
And, it worked out perfectly. Tom Ma went for it, and he was able to hit. Look at that smile on his face.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about Gitaxian Probe in these types of combo decks is, you know, you use the Gitaxian Probe the turn that you're thinking about going off anyway to lead, and it lets you see your opponent's hand, and then you know whether or not you have to go off that turn. Mm-hmm. Storm is a deck where you oftentimes want to wait until the very last possible moment to go off, because it lets you get deeper through your deck and lets you set up and sculpt a more perfect hand. So normally you just want to go off the turn before your opponent's going to kill you. And if you know what's in your opponent's hand, then you know whether or not they're going to kill you on the following turn.
Or what kind of game plan you need. Because if he didn't have the Githaxian Probe, he could have reasonably just blindly go for the Goblins, empty the warrens, and just hope he doesn't have
a Maelstrom
Pulse.
And then he would have certainly lost.
Yeah. So here's a sideboarding with the Storm, with the combo decks. You used to see a lot of people, normally they reach for the Manamorphose first. And then, depending on what they have on their board, what do you think he'd bring in here?
I think it largely depends on what he expects his opponent to bring in. Now, something he may be doing, he's sideboarding in a lot of cards here, or maybe these are just considerations. He may actually be bringing in a Delver of Secrets plan.
That would be interesting. I know I've seen the Splinter Twin decks splash some breeding pools and brought in the Tarmogoyf plan. It's Tarmogoyf and some Peskermites, and that's your new plan.
So I think Tom will almost certainly be siding out his Empty the Warrens.
Your booster draft is waiting for you.
Ethan is going to keep in his Maelstrom Pulses because, one, they deal with the Empty the Warrens tokens, which he may not be positive that Tom has access to. But it's also good because it's a card that can kill Pyromancer essentially.
Now, I didn't even see him reach for a sideboard. Like, Judd probably has some decent things that can bring in more discard, possibly surgical extractions.
Surgical extraction is really strong in this matchup.
If you'd like to try out mini masters, come up here and see us.
I mean, what Ethan would really be hoping to have on his board right now is some access to Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize would definitely be good.
Depending on how much discard he has in his main deck, he may just want to have more. I mean, just basically any type of Mind Rot spell is very strong against Storm because they'll have less cards in their hand and it makes it significantly more difficult for them to go off. Past in Flames obviously helps remedy this issue to a certain degree, but it doesn't make it easy to go off
Yeah,
4 or 5 cards in your hand. It just makes it possible.
So if you had to play in this tournament, what would you play this weekend?
I would be playing what Tom is playing. I would be playing Storm. Pyromancer Ascension is kind of a pet card of mine.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of that card. I'd like to believe that nobody would have ever looked at that card if it weren't for me. So
started off in your one of your building on the budget articles.
Yes, I wrote about it a while back on building on a budget. The week after I wrote about it on building on a budget, I played in a standard PDQ with the building on a budget deck. The exact building on a budget.
There was no changes? Like you didn't want any changes, even if you?
Well, actually,
or did you want to show that you could play?
Yeah, I cut the Terramorphic Expanses for Scalding Tarns.
Okay.
But besides that, there were no changes.
Okay.
And I don't think there should have been any changes. And I actually came in second place in that PDQ. There were 300 players, so it's pretty good. And then the next week, it posted a lot of top 8s and a lot of national tournaments, and managed to win French nationals. So it went from being an obscure building on a budget deck to being a mainstream deck almost overnight.
Have you seen any of your other decks that you've written about make that sort of transition?
I mean, Ancient Ziggurat Jund deck that won a few state championships, but it's very difficult for building on a budget deck to break that barrier, especially nowadays. Mm-hmm. Cards have become
the rares, like you can't dodge them. You need need a couple in your deck.
Rares are very good these days. Now, in Tom Ma winning Game 1 is pretty huge here, because having to win 2 games against Storm, where one of them, the Storm deck gets to be on the play, it's a pretty dangerous position to be.
Yeah.
Storm on the play is something that can kill you as early as turn 2. And, I mean, hypothetically, it can kill you as early as turn 2. So
Tom's
one has to be
hand,
pretty careful.
Pyromancer's Ascension, Echoing Truth, Desperate Ravings, a couple land. Seems perfectly reasonable there. Tom with his steam vents passes it there.
Ethan chose to lead with the Copperline Gorge. Now, that's something that a lot of players get into the habit of doing because they're used to playing Standard, where if you have one of the Scars lands, you play it first. But in Modern, a lot of the time, you actually want to play Shock Land first, and as long as you can empty your hand of those Scars lands by turn 3, you're fine. A Dark Confidant on turn 2 for Ethan, very strong play. He's going to reveal a Blackleaf Glyphs off the top of his library.
Another Scars land.
Yeah. And does he have a discard spell? He does not. And he's just going to attack Tom for 2, putting Tom down to 18 here.
Bob getting aggressive, and Stomping Grounds, 4-2, gain 2. So Ethan's life doesn't change, and Desperate Ravings here. Desperate Ravings gets a Grape Shot and a Githaxian Probe.
Depending on what Tom has to discard here, he can probably kill Ethan the next turn. Cards here, and he takes his Grape Shot. So it's unlikely that Tom's going to go for it this turn now that he's lost his Grape Shot. Unless, of course, he draws another one.
So Tom is able to play a Pyromancer Ascension if you'd like. He starts off with Githaxian Probe.
And if Tom's starting to cast his draw spells, I think
it's not a good feeling for Ethan.
Yeah, and it looks like Tom's ready to go. Ethan's deck is not interactive at all. Tom knows that he can play his Pyromancer Ascension somewhat safely. Spun is going to get to cast a Bloodbraid Elf, so he may get lucky and hit a Maelstrom Pulse. But casting a Pyromancer Ascension here, a very solid play.
So Tom goes 6, a Scalding Tarn. Now, I haven't played a 4-man enough, but if you're on the Jund side, can you keep a hand without enough disruption, especially after you lost Game 1?
It's difficult to keep a hand that doesn't have access to Thoughtseize or Blightning, something like that.
Like Ethan's hand is perfectly reasonable for almost any other match.
Yes.
And it seems like something.
The fact that he's a turn 2 Confidant, though, he may be just hoping to hit it. He's also on the play, so a lot of the time Tom's deck isn't going to have a way to win before the 4th turn. so he can also Blood Braid Elf into Disruption. It's going to be difficult to mulligan hands when you have, a very good mix, and you have something like a turn 2 Confidant, turn 3 Finks, turn 4 Blood Braid Elf. But at the same time, if you have no Disruption, the Storm matchup can be very scary. Alright, so Tom, you pass the turn of the Pyromancer Ascension up. Ethan reveals another land off the Dark Confidant, and he draws first turn. What does he hit?
I don't know what it is, but it seems like Ethan's probably just going to Blood Braid here and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, that's a likely play.
Which is a Maelstrom Pulse, or any other naturalized type of effect.
And now, I don't even think he'd mind hitting a discard spell here.
Ethan, probably anything but a creature. He didn't really like any sort of disruption in this.
Yeah, but it's a creature here, he's almost certainly going to be dead. Pyromancer Ascension has a lot of very, very interesting interactions in Modern that it did not have access to in Standard. Something like Metamorphose, when you have an active Pyromancer Ascension, draws you 2 cards and actually rituals you.
Yeah.
Creating additional mana.
And that was probably the best card Tom could have on Tarmogoyf, or Bloodblade to reveal there. And now Tom probably is going to try to go off next turn. He goes, he has a ritual. He doesn't actually have... I don't think he actually has a way to win the game.
Pyretic Ritual?
But he has a third Pyretic Ritual, too.
So he's going to be able to activate this, no problem at all.
And he has a Serum Visions in his hand. So... Metamorphose to start it off.
Yeah, and...
It's going to create 2 blue, it's going to... Or 4 blue would draw 2 cards, or...
Yep.
There's one of the copies resolved. So Tom has not resolved the second one. Here it goes. Up to 4 blue, 3 red available. Draws empty to Warrens. Serum Visions, using 1 of the blue here. So allow Tom to see a lot of cards.
And I believe he just drew a Grape Shot. Now it's always fun copying Serum Visions with a...
There's a Grape Shot for sure now.
Yeah. Now if he has double Grape Shot here... Oh, he kept both. I think Tom has double Grape Shot.
There's a Desperate Ravens. Doesn't matter if he discards one of his Grape Shots. He does have 2.
Yeah.
Lots of mana still available. And he gets to do this twice. So I guess there's a chance Ethan can get out of this.
Yeah, Tom has to discard both Grape Shots here.
Let's see if he can do it. This needs to be one of them. There's one.
There's one.
Here's another Desperate Ravings here. 2 lands off this Desperate Ravings.
Yeah, not what Tom wants to see with that. And
Tom can flashback Desperate Ravings to find another anything.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad. Did he get there again? Oh, and Ethan can't get the second Grape Shot.
It's not looking like he's going to be able to defend himself from what's about to happen to him.
Tom uses Seething Song. He's going to go up to 10 mana with 1 blue available. So 11 total.
Yeah, now, Seething Song, again, one of those cards that just becomes absurd when you have active Pyromancer Ascension. Creating 10 mana for just 3.
Sulphurous Falls there. And Tom's going to Desperate Ravens again. And draws a Cathaxian Probe and a Serum Visions. And Ethan can't just concede because he doesn't know if maybe that picking that Grape Shot was awesome right there.
You never know when your opponent's going to whiff.
I feel like Tom's just having a blast right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more fun than playing Storm.
Yeah, if we cut to his face, he's definitely having a giant grin right now.
Yeah, definitely.
There's the Sulphurous Falls.
Right now, Silver Falls hits the bin, and Tom now has a lot more draw spells that he can play. So he's going to go up to 13 red mana, along with those 2 blue mana he has, 15 in pool here with that Seething Song. Seething Song being copied by Pyromancer Ascension, creating 10 mana.
It'd be fun if Tom just like fireball you.
That would work.
It's like, that was my goal. Pyromancer's fireball.
You have Bane Fire.
And another Desperate Ravens. We get was that a Lightning Bolt and a land?
Yep, a Lightning Bolt and a land. Now, Lightning Bolt actually provides Tom probably enough damage to just Graveshot Ethan right now.
2 rituals.
And those are going to create a ton of mana here for Tom.
Of the Desperate variety here. Alright, so Tom has 1 blue available in his Steam Vents and 15 red available.
Let's see what Ethan gets here. And it's Desperate Ritual.
Alright.
Alright, Tom going to Ritual up a little bit more. Empty out his hand of draw spells. And if he has access to a Past in Flames...
Sleight of hand. Takes a Seething Song.
Ton more mana.
Sleight of hand. Takes a Metamorphose. Metamorphose here. So it's going to have 4 blue after they both resolve. Draws a Past in Flames.
That's it. Yeah, and Ethan's going to pack it up with that Past in Flames. And that's what the Storm deck does. I mean, it's a really exciting deck, and this is the thing that we talked about earlier. Is we said that this might be the blue-red combo deck to watch for.